Hello and good morning everybody. Welcome to the Gold and Silver Club end of week review presented by myself, Phil Carr and Nick Kelsey at the Gold and Silver Club. Today we will be reviewing the latest development in the commodities markets. We'll be analysing the week's performance. The live session will cover an end-of-week summary for gold, silver and commodity currencies, top trades of the week. We'll be looking at live market commentary, technical analysis, the week ahead, so key events looking forward, and of course we'll be answering any of your questions as well on today's webinar. So certainly we're seeing a lot of activity again just this morning on the gold and silver and the Forex markets, so lots to cover today. And it's been certainly an eventful week. Since our last webinar last Friday, just before non-farm payroll, a lot has happened in the gold and silver markets, so certainly lots to cover today and lots to look at even where the prices are this morning. Okay, so the main news really, gold rebounded after 2% drop on FOMC minutes which were leaked earlier in the week, and Cyprus gold sale, which is more important news. So the gold price rose from 1 week lows against the US dollar on Thursday yesterday, although we're back down again this morning, which we'll look at very shortly. We rebounded from a 2% drop on Wednesday. Gold declined as the Federal Reserve was forced to release minutes of their latest meeting earlier than normal on Wednesday after it was learned that the minutes were leaked to about 100 congressional staff, and the Federal Reserve's minutes revealed that many central bank members are open to scaling back monetary stimulus soon. So they are thinking about scaling back quantitative easing. So gold sank from $1,587, so it gave back all of its gains that it made on non-farm payroll on the negative numbers for the US. 88,000 was the jobs number, to $1,553 an ounce. So it was the biggest one-day loss since November 2012, so certainly a big move that we had on Wednesday. So as always, Federal Reserve announcement, non-farm payroll announcements, these major news announcements, the fundamentals make a big difference to the gold and silver markets, and certainly you want to be well aware of when they're happening and be ready to trade those, because we had some nice sell shorts on the Federal Reserve set up on Wednesday, which we'll talk you through today. So additionally, Cyprus was also in the headlines this week. The Cypriot authorities have committed to sell 10 of its 13.9 tons in central bank gold worth 400 million euros or 522 million US dollars as part of the bankrupt island's 10 billion bailout program. So 10 tons of gold, it's not enough to significantly affect the market. However, the news has been a psychological blow to the market. So we could see other struggling Eurozone countries follow. We'll have to wait and see if that is the case. So looking ahead, the big question now, will gold and silver continue to decline this week? Well, this is going to be the real question, isn't it? Because certainly into next week as well. We'll have a look at the prices this morning. Gold right now is $1,546 an ounce, so it's come right back down to almost where we were just before non-farm payroll last week. Fantastic for day trading, guys, the way the markets are moving at the moment. And we'll talk you through how we traded both ways, going long and short, and potentially we're looking at more setups now again today. And again, so it's not really a buy and hold market, as you can probably see if you've been in since last Thursday or Friday, just buying into gold and waiting for it to go back up to those 1600 level or beyond. It hasn't happened, and you know, you've had an opportunity to go long to get out at 1586 and then to short at that level in the Federal Reserve news and potentially go long again. We'll look at that this morning. Silver not down as much, 20C at 734. It's not given as much ground as gold at the moment, but we normally do see quite a strong correlation. We'll be looking at the commodity currencies very shortly as well, because Australian US dollar, New Zealand US dollar, they've broken out to the upside quite significantly over the last few days, and now they're looking at to be at some very interesting levels as they start to run out of steam a little bit. So we'll look at that very shortly. So before we do, just a little bit about myself and Nick at the Gold and Silver Club. I'm Phil Carr, professional trader, trainer and speaker. I'm the co-founder and director of the Gold and Silver Club. I specialize in teaching people how to make money from trading the biggest financial markets in the world: gold, silver, oil and forex. I've trained thousands of individuals to become independent traders and successfully manage their own investment portfolio. I'm responsible for the research and development of the Gold and Silver Club trademark strategies that have a proven track record of generating returns for traders. Also a regular contributor to a number of financial publications and speak at numerous trading seminars and webinars and workshops. Joining me on the call, helping to answer all your questions today, is Nick Kelsey, professional trader, investment analyst and speaker. Nick began his career within private wealth management in 2002 before making the transition into proprietary trading. Now, prior to co-founding the Gold and Silver Club, Nick spent over 5 years coaching professional fund managers and traders internationally for some of the world's top-tier hedge funds and investment banks. Through his first-hand relationship with some of the world's most successful traders, he discovered the formula, mindset and tools that give any individual the definitive edge to trade in any economy. Also regularly writes for a number of global business and financial publications, and we have both appeared frequently on financial television. In fact, this is just a recent interview that we did again for Swiss TV, Dukascopy Financial TV, and here are some excerpts of just some recent global press we've been in. Okay, so that's just a little bit about ourselves. You're in good hands today, and we'll look at some live market commentary very quickly. So the gold price right now, if you want to just have a look right now, $1,557 an ounce. So very interesting. We'll look at that shortly. Okay, so top trades of the week. We go over the three top trades of the week. We've had certainly some nice meaty trades to show you using the Gold and Silver Club signature trading strategies. Number one was gold on non-farm payroll. So we were looking at this just prior to non-farm payroll. Actually, last Friday morning at 11 o'clock, we had a nice, you can see that on the daily time frame, nice hammer candle there on the daily, and we had quite a lot of things lining up for that position. Wanted to wait for the non-farm payroll numbers to come through, and we had a really nice setup there. So entry at $1,557 per ounce. And as soon as the numbers did come through, we spiked, and we got a big move all the way up to $1,586 an ounce. Key price action level again, which you've seen time and time again act as a level of support going back to 2013, back in March and February. Previously it's been 1616 price action level where the market has stumbled, but you can see we're still in the downtrend on gold. So we struggled beyond that level. We were at 1586 on non-farm, on the Federal Reserve announcement just on Wednesday, and the market couldn't get beyond that level, and it was a good opportunity to go short as well. So we entered at 1557, we got out at 1586, made 290 points, so each lot traded $2,900. The risk on that was 90 pips, so $900 US for a 3-to-1 risk to reward on gold. And then here we had, so the price went up to $1,589 actually, just shy of 1,580. 1,590, and then the price started to get rejected over 4 time frames there. In a 4-hour time frame, the price could not break that that resistance level. We started to see profit taking, and then we sort of the price started to break down, particularly in anticipation of the Federal Reserve statement. Good opportunity to go short once we had confirmation at $1,583. Tighter risk on this, so 50-point risk, $500 US risk, and we just traded it down to the next key level of support, which is 1,560, which is a logical take profit level. You can see going to the left side of the chart there where the price previously bounced off that particular price point. So 230 pips just shorting the market for a nice 4-to-1 risk to reward on Wednesday on gold. So we've traded both ways in the market. And also Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, which we were looking at as well on the previous webinar last week. That broke down in price as we were looking, as predicted there. We had some quite a lot of momentum to the downside after we've broken through some key levels of support and moving averages. And you can see we entered at 1.2393, highlighted on the chart there with a box, and we exited just yesterday. We came down to hit one of our profit targets, which was at 1.222, highlighted in green on the chart there. So 49 pips risk to make 173 pips, so nice 3.5-to-1 risk to reward, so $490 risk on each lot to make $1,730 on each lot. Okay, and so those are the top trades of the week, guys. Some nice meaty trades there, and on both gold and Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. And what we'll do now, we will show you the live markets now, what is worth having a look at the moment. So there's quite a lot of interesting moves that we've seen just this morning and last night as well. So what I'll do, we'll share my screen with you, so bear with me whilst I bring this up. Okay, and the first market we are going to have a look at is going to be here. We're just going to look at Euro US dollar, because that's looking quite interesting at the moment before we go on to the commodity currencies, gold and silver. So Euro US dollar, we came up to a level of resistance just yesterday, actually, highlighted just at 1.3185. We can see we're starting to get, actually we've got another level which you could just draw a box around really the last three candles on the daily time frame there, and we're at 1.30444. We're right at the low, the same level as yesterday's low and the previous day as well. So Euro USD, we're going to be very interested to see if this is going to break and see if the market is going to come down to back towards another key level of support, or whether it's going to be supported at the current level where it is right now. So Euro USD certainly seeing some downside momentum today. So again, if we break either side of these previous highs and lows of yesterday's high and yesterday's low, we could start to see some momentum on there. Overall, Euro USD is still in a downtrend. We're still below, we can see that we're still in a downtrend, still below key moving averages there. So that's going to be one certainly to watch this morning. Australian US dollar, we've just got to, let me remove that for you so you can actually see this in a little bit more detail. Australian US dollar, we've had a really nice run Australian US dollar. You can see we've been trending up since really going back to the beginning of March. We do have a trend channel in place. We did come to the upper end of that trend channel just last night, actually. We seem to be running out of steam a little bit similar to Euro. We're getting a bit of a sell-off today. Some nice opportunities to potentially just take advantage of the profit taking which is occurring on this market. Currently, if the market does come down, it could just be a temporary pullback. So if you were to see the market come down towards the lower trend line on Australian US dollar, you may then see a bounce on the next leg higher. But we also do want to look at the daily time frame there. You can see we're also entering a key level of resistance. Okay, so highlighted in blue there. So there are some good opportunities for potential, well, certainly in terms of risk to reward. The price hasn't been able to break through this this level of resistance here, which is rough. Well, the upper end of that is 1.0620. Hasn't been broken, that level of resistance, going back to August 2012. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests. Well, coming up to 5 tests of that resistance zone now. So, and we're up at the upper end of that resistance trend line. So yeah, nice opportunities at the moment on Australian US dollar as we're seeing some profit taking occur from resistance. So that's one to watch. USD Canadian dollar, fantastic. We're getting a bounce as we predicted yesterday. So from this, you can see we've got a previous level of resistance going back to January, which has now become support. We have been downtrending recently on USD Canadian dollar, but we are finding a little bit of support today on this the lower end of the trend line. So if I just zoom in on that for you, you can see very strong candle, a hammer candle there just on the 4-hour time frame. You can see the market has found support at 1.0988, so going back to previous support on the chart back to the beginning of January. So although we are downward trending, we are potentially going to see this market just come back up to the upper end of this channel, this downward trending channel on USD Canadian dollar. Overall, the market sentiment on USD Canadian dollar, same as the US dollar at the moment. We are seeing just a little bit of profit taking. We have been in a downtrend really since the beginning of March. Nothing too significant. We're still above key moving averages, but the market is starting to just step down. Although we may just get a lift at the moment that we're seeing just based on that level of support. Okay, so let's have a look at New Zealand US dollar, another commodity currency which is looking very interesting at the moment. Okay, let me show you New Zealand US dollar. So New Zealand US dollar has recently broken out really to, if we go back on the chart, we've broken out to 2-year highs. just this week on New Zealand US dollar, but you can also just draw a very straightforward trend line on this market. We're getting higher highs, higher lows. We do expect some profit taking after this breakout, and we actually saw that just last night. We had started to get some profit taking at this at the top of that resistance level, the top of the trend. So we may see just New Zealand US dollar start to take a bit of a breather now if the euro continues to sell off as well, and we could see the market just come back towards the lower end of the trend channel, or just come back to the recent the resistance level that New Zealand US dollar broke out of. The price may come back, and that might turn into a level of support now, just highlighted in blue there. So we could see just a pullback at the moment on New Zealand US dollar, retest previous resistance, which now becomes support at 0.85360. But that's been good to catch some pips going on short from that level of resistance, and some profit taking at the upper side of that trend channel. So that's New Zealand US dollar. Also on that note, USD Japanese yen, similar situation. You want to look at the 96.67 level. So if the price was to retrace and come back to the recent resistance level we broke out of, we may see some support at that level, and the next leg high. It could just be a pullback, and we could see prices go much higher on that market as well. So we'll be watching that certainly very closely. Okay, so on to gold. So gold at the moment, here we can see, let me just put that into, zoom in a little bit for you. Okay, so looking at gold, you can see where we had a really nice move on non-farm payroll last week. So we had the very quite a nice long tail on this dragonfly doji, as it's known, and you can see the price just then exploded on non-farm payroll. We came up and we tested this 1,586 price action level, and the market didn't manage to break through that. It tested that over several time frames and was hanging around that before it actually then sold short, especially after the Federal Reserve statement. So last night we had a doji, so indecision on the market, so it wasn't really the right time to be getting in. You wanted more confirmation. Then today we could just seen a sell-off. So now we're back down to at the moment $1,548 an ounce, and below that, the low of the day, 1,544. So we are coming down to the support zone for gold. Obviously the real line in the sand is $1,522 thereabouts, because that is the low which has not been broken going back to last year, 2012. That was tested several times, and we get a lot of buying occurring around that level. So also $1,533 an ounce is another important level, just below the current level. But we are in the buy zone territory, so below 1550 to 1520 we do seem to see buy zones. But at the moment you've got quite a bearish candle on the daily time frame there, so it's not suggesting that it's the right time to start getting into gold just yet. We may have more downward pressure on gold yet. So we'll be looking at the key news announcements that we've got coming out today. We'll just very quickly put gold into the 4 hour, just see, wow, that's a nice engulfing candle, isn't it? So that's the 4 hour time frame. You've got a nice large engulfing candle, which is actually engulfing several. Let's have a look. Well, we're engulfing at least three previous candles there. So we find a little bit of support, $1,544 an ounce at the moment, but it's not enough confirmation to start looking at getting in this market currently. So that's gold at the moment. So certainly keep an eye on the lower levels on gold, around the 1520 to 1530 level, and we may start to get some buying occurring at the current price. We're certainly in that buy zone. There could be further downward momentum though. If you go down to the bottom end of this downward trending channel, that would take us down to around the 1520 level. If the market was to come all the way down and be supported by the trend channel here, we would see this market just continue to go down slightly further. So be very wary of that with gold, which could potentially provide some good buying opportunities dependent on what the setup is. So silver, similar situation today. We've had a big down move just this morning, and at the moment we've come back down to not as exaggerated as gold. In fact, we've not given back all the silver's not given back all the profits from last week's non-farm payroll yet. It's actually back to, it's finding support at last week's resistance. So last week, particularly on non-farm payroll, we had resistance at 27.35, and this is where we're being supported just this morning on silver, although we've broken through that ever so slightly. So one to watch, certainly. I would be mindful of that big bearish candle on silver, but certainly it's getting towards the buy zone. Typically silver tends to be a lot more interesting once it gets under $27 an ounce, which it could do if it comes back to the lower end of this trend channel. So certainly one to watch. On the daily time frame there's nothing to suggest really that it's bottomed out just yet, so it could have more downside. So we'll see. That's one to watch, certainly. I would keep an eye on gold and silver and see if we can get some momentum behind the move back to the upper end of that resistance zone. If not, if we do start to see a real breakdown and some significant chart damage on gold and silver, you want to be watching that $26 an ounce level on silver. If that gets broken, you could see a lot of big stops getting hit and a big move to the downside if $26 an ounce was not to hold. Same with gold. If 1,520 was not to hold, you could see a bigger move to the downside, especially 1,500. We could see the price get back towards 1,480 to 1,450 in the shorter term on a break. That's only if the price was to break down, but that is a level that certainly, from the analysis we've done, that could you could start to see a lot of buying at. 1450, that is, on gold, if the price was to break down. So that is what we're looking at on gold and silver. We've covered Euro USD, Australian dollar, USD, Canadian dollar. The other market which we could just have a brief look at here would be Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. So that was the market, the trade that we looked at, well, the market we looked at last week, where you can see it's broken down in price. So what we're seeing at the moment is, the New Zealand dollar is certainly, sorry, the Australian dollar is a little bit stronger than the New Zealand dollar today. And we're starting to find a little bit of support towards the lower end of this. Well, we're actually getting support at a price action level at 1.2220 and at the lower end of this trend channel. So we'll be watching Australian, New Zealand dollar as well to see if there are going to be some potential setups on that market. But certainly plenty to keep an eye on today. Euro USD, again, keep an eye on Euro USD, looking very interesting right now. Just move it into slightly tighter time frame. Okay, so seeing a little bit of support at yesterday's low, so keep an eye on that. On Euro USD, see if we're going to get a breakdown in price or whether we're going to get supported and just remain within the range, the consolidation range which we've seen the last couple of days. But yeah, certainly lots to be looking at today, and we'll move on to the key news to look at ahead for next week, guys, and answer any of your questions as well. Okay, so the key events really which you want to be paying attention to today. Number one, on at 1:30 p.m. today, we have the US core retail sales. So that's going to be, the core retail sales measures the change in the total value of sales at the retail level in the US, so excluding automobiles. It's an important indicator of consumer spending, and it's also considered as a pace indicator for the US economy. So a higher than expected reading should be taken as, there's going to be some moves potentially on gold and silver, US dollar certainly this afternoon with this core retail sales at 1:30, but a higher than expected reading should be taken as bullish for the US dollar, in which case you'll see further downside on gold and silver and the euro, Australian US dollar, New Zealand US dollar, while a lower than expected reading should be taken as bearish, in which side you'll see those markets be supported, gold, silver, and potentially either just continue to consolidate or may get a move to the upside. At 2:55 p.m. we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment. So the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index rates the relative level of current and future economic conditions. So there are two versions of this data released 2 weeks apart. The preliminary data tend to have a greater impact. The reading is compiled from a survey of around 500 consumers. So a higher than expected reading should be taken again as bullish for the US dollar. A lower than expected reading should be taken as bearish. And we also at 5:30 p.m. today, we've got the big one, Fed Chairman Bernanke speaking again, especially after what happened on Wednesday with the leak of the FOMC minutes. So Federal Chairman Ben Bernanke is to speak. Traders closely watch his speeches, of course, as they often used to drop hints regarding future monetary policy. So his comments may determine a short-term positive or negative trend. Now that's unusual for Fed Bernanke to speak on a Friday, certainly at 5:30 p.m. GMT. So watch out for that if you've got trades on this afternoon, or if you're looking at setups, because that could cause some market volatility later today at 5:30. So we will be paying attention to that today. So those are key news announcements to make sure you keep an eye on just today. Moving into next week, so on Monday at 3 a.m. we've got the Chinese GDP, so that measures the annualized change in the inflation-adjusted value of all goods and services produced by the economy. It's the broadest measure of economic activity and the primary indicator of the economy's health. A higher than expected reading should be taken as bullish for the Chinese yen. A lower than expected reading should be taken as bearish. Again, that's important because China is a major buyer of gold and silver, so you will see that have effect on the gold and silver markets. Next week on Monday, 1:30, we've got the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index. That is essentially rates the relative level of general business conditions in New York State. So a level above 0.0 indicates improving conditions, below it indicates worsening conditions. That reading is compiled from a survey of 200 manufacturers in New York. A higher than expected reading should be taken as bullish for the US dollar, while a lower than expected reading should be taken as bearish. Next Tuesday, 10 a.m, we have the German ZEW economic sentiment. That index gauges the 6-month economic outlook. A level above 0 indicates optimism, below indicates pessimism. A higher than expected reading should be taken, again, as this is going to affect the euro, as bullish for the euro, while a lower than expected reading should be taken as bearish for the euro. And that's important because the euro, we do see correlations again with gold and silver. And also next week, more news, lots of news happening today and next week. We've got the US core CPI. So next Tuesday, 1:30 p.m, again, that's quite a market mover. That measures the change in the price of goods and services, excluding food and energy. The CPI measures price change from the perspective of the consumer. It's a key way to measure changes in purchasing trends and inflation. So a higher than expected reading should be taken as bullish for the US dollar, and a lower than expected reading should be taken as bearish for the US dollar. So again, that's important because the US dollar correlates to gold, and of course it's the major pair in a lot of the forex currencies that you're going to be trading or that you do trade. Wednesday next week, 3 p.m, we've got the CAD interest rate decision, which will affect your Canadian, any trades that you've got with the Canadian dollar in the pair. So Bank of Canada Governing Council members come to a consensus on where to set the rate. So traders watch interest rate changes very closely. Short-term interest rates are the primary factor in currency valuation. So a higher than expected rate is bullish for the CAD, a lower than expected rating is bearish for CAD. And then next Friday, again at 1:30 p.m, we have the CAD CPI. So that index measures the change in the price of goods and services, excluding food and energy. So the CPI measures price change from the perspective of the consumer. It's a key way to measure changes in purchasing trends and inflation. A higher than expected reading should be taken as bullish for CAD, while a lower than expected reading should be taken as bearish for CAD. So those are really the major news announcements to look out for both today and moving into next week, which will affect the markets we all trade. And of course, to request information on our gold, silver and forex trader coaching programs, to learn more and to learn the exact strategies we trade, you can go to www.thegoldandsilverclub.com/course-form. Contact us at office@thegoldandsilverclub.com. Any of your questions at all. You can telephone our UK office on 0207 193 0403 or our Asia Pacific office on 852 8191 0403. We get a lot of questions about how to find the form. So when you go to the goldandsilverclub.com website, very simply you just go to click on the top left hand corner, you just go to learn to trade. And from our website, you then very simply just fill out the form, and you'll get additional information on the Gold and Silver Club training programs and our upcoming workshops, okay, which is well worth taking advantage of. And also do subscribe to our newsletter. You will receive free weekly gold, silver, commodity currency news, live market analysis and prices. Okay, fantastic. Well, good luck everybody for certainly today's trading, for next week's training as well. The next webinar we will be doing will, in fact, it won't be next Friday, it's going to be on Friday the 26th, okay guys? So the next one, we won't be here next Friday, we'll be here Friday the 26th of April, same time at 11 o'clock in the morning. So good luck guys for the rest of the week's trading. Again, if you've got any questions, do contact us on the contact details provided. And we'll see you on the next one. Okay, right. Well, thanks, guys, and bye-bye.